In this video, which is part 3, we're going to focus on making this scroll bar. If we scroll with our mouse up, you can see we're moving, and if I scroll that, if I do here very carefully, there we are. And of course, we want to make sure that this here works as well. So if I move this and then I go up here, you can see here, this will all work nicely together. So let's start to explore how we can make all of this together right now. So let's start to look how to add the mouse wheel event for the scroll bar in Chartjs. So basically here, we want to make sure that when we scroll up or down, that the scroll bar here will work. And this is part 3 of this video. So if you haven't watched the other parts, I'm going to recommend you. This is part 2 here, and I will make sure in the comment section below it will be part 1 and 2 as well, so you can grab those to start with. So what we're going to do now is to make sure that it's scrollable. So I'm going to scroll all down to the bottom here and create a new trigger. So what I'm going to do here is create a new functionality, or at least a trigger on this. So we say here my chart, there's a dot canvas, and then dot add event listener. And then what I want to do here is I want to trigger this event listener on the movement of our mouse wheel, which is called the wheel event. So we put a comma here, and then I'm going to indicate that this wheel event will be defined as the letter E. And then I'm going to make a callback functionality here, or basically trigger a specific function. So what I'm going to say here, when we use our mouse wheel, at that moment I want to trigger the scroll wheel function. And this scroll wheel function will have 2 parameters or arguments, which is first of all this argument here, which is the record of the event. So I'm going to say here E, comma, and then of course we're going to grab here the my chart. So once we have this, what I want to do here is semicolon and save. And in here, I'm going to say here console log for now, or function. That's creating function. Maybe we can do that down here. So what I'm going to do here is put it there. The reason I'm moving this, these are all functionalities, or at least the triggers. So here we have the function above. And I'm going to say here for this function, function scroll wheel. And then here we have the 2 parameters, we call them here. So this could be the wheel, comma, and chart. Once we have this in here, basically I can do here console log for now and just see if we get something. We can say here yes, scroll, save that. If I now open up the developer tab, refresh, and if I would scroll now, alright, we get this error here. Ignore that. Later on I will probably make a separate video to understand what this exactly is. So what we're going to do here now, we have the scroll event here that works very, very nicely. However, it still doesn't distinguish between scrolling up or scrolling down. And of course, if you're on a Mac or Windows, well, this is a Mac, so when you scroll up, it does the upper event, and if you scroll down, you should go down, and I think in the Windows, it's exactly the opposite. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make sure that we can distinguish if it's going up or down. So for that, we can find here the wheel. So I'm going to copy the wheel, put it in here, or let's delete all of that. Now I refresh. And if I scroll up now, you can see here the delta y value. And the delta y value will show us the value here. It says here like 8 pixels. So basically delta means a difference. And then y is the vertical level. So for example, for a scroll bar, if you scroll up or down, it will calculate how many pixels it needs to go up or down. So if I scroll up, and it will only work if we scroll up on the canvas. You can see here we get all of these values here, it registers them. If I scroll down, we get a delta y in a negative. So basically, this will be up and then will be down, and then we'll calculate how many pixels it needs to go up or down. So this is a very useful information for us, because we will need this to define if we're going up or down, or basically if we're going left or right, to the right side, or go back to the left side here. So let's start to work on this. So we're going to say here the following. We're going to say if, I'm going to create a simple if statement here. We say if the wheel dot delta y is smaller than, or sorry, is bigger than 0, indicating that we're going up. In that case, do something here. Let's say here, I'll just say this, Let's cut that out and put it in here. Save that, refresh. So now if I scroll up, you can see here this works, but if I scroll down, it doesn't trigger at all. It doesn't do anything, but if I scroll up, it works. So that works nicely. So I'm going to do exactly the same here for another if statement, but then the opposite direction. So if it's in a negative, then record this. And let's do a wheel.delta so you could see exactly if it's positive or negative. Refresh, scroll up, all positive values, scroll down, all negative values. Alright, and you can see here, as I scroll down here, it calculates the trigger events here. And this is very nice, because if I make a very big scroll down, it will see about 1000 pixels scrolling down. And if I scroll up in a single movement, it will indicate here 1000 pixels going up. So that's quite interesting. So what I want to do, of course, is when I scroll up, we're going to the right, and this should move as well. Luckily, we don't have to do much here. And the reason why we don't have to do much is because we have built our structure here. As you can see here, we have all of this. We have this if statement here, which creates here basically x and y values, but I can just copy all of this. And this one here will be the first one. We just put it up here. And just delete all of this, or at least delete the indentation. Then here, semicolon, save. So now if I scroll up here, alright, if I scroll down, alright, that works. But of course you say, well, how come it's not working here? Because it didn't update. I need to get the update here. That's why it didn't work. So let's put that update in here. Save. So if I refresh now, scroll up or down. Alright, interesting, it still doesn't work. Did I miss something? Let's see. What we want to do is the next one is, of course, here, exactly the opposite. So let's see here, because I guess we have here the, if it goes in a negative. So I'm doing here probably something exactly the opposite. Well, let's see. I'm going to copy this, or at least copy this one here. Put that down here. Alright. Put that all together. Save that, and then I do a refresh. Let's see here. Alright. Interesting. Oh, of course. So let me explain what's going on. Why it didn't work. So in the beginning, I was scrolling up, and apparently when I scroll up, it goes back. And if I scroll down, it goes to the right side. So what I did is exactly as I thought. I'm doing exactly the opposite here. So what I can do here is, well, we can do this like that. When we are in a negative, it goes down, and when we are in a positive, it should go up. So I need to exactly change these two values. If I save this now, then we should have scrolling up, alright, scrolling down, as you can see here. If I go down, you see negative numbers here. So exactly what I wanted. So let me show you one more time just to be sure. Save, refresh. If I scroll down, there we are. And of course, it doesn't work now. Why it doesn't work? Because we're here. But if I click on this, alright, and then I scroll down, as you can see here, it will work accordingly. And that's really beautiful. So they're all working now nicely in conjunction with, and then if I scroll up, there we are. It doesn't get any mistakes and know exactly where it needs to move. And if I scroll up here, you can see here, even though if I keep on going up, it's positive numbers, but we're at the very end. And this is basically how you can create a scroll. Of course, here's another one. I have to make one last video here, which will be the draggable item. So that will be next one. That will be eventually part 4.